Could Jaylen Brown be the number one player on a contending team?
On a team like the Knicks, absolutely, absolutely. But I feel like you kind of need a perfect scenario. The Knicks are a perfect scenario with so much depth. You just add a star. I mean, Brian Windhorst just came out and was talking about the Knicks, saying we've put ourselves in position to acquire that star. I think teams like the Knicks that need that one extra piece, yeah, he can definitely be a number one. Now, if you're throwing him in a place like Chicago that isn't nearly comparable as far as depth wise, I don't think he's gonna lead that team to new heights. No, maybe a Toronto potentially, maybe an Atlanta can go in after a guy like him. Um, I don't know. That's a tough question. Say Brandon, do you see him as a number one? I remember in the finals we were talking about whether or not he was better than Jason Tatum. So I think this is a question more for you two than it is for me because I said he's a talented ball player, but it's just more so he needs the perfect situation because Boston is the perfect situation.
1 second. Just want to confirm something. Okay. So he is 26 years old right now. Looking at his strides, two-time All-Star, all rookie, second team, no All NBAs yet. Consistently, so he's above a 45% shooter from the field. I like that. Career 37% from three. Free throw percentage, I would like him to at least be at 80%.
Let me help you here. 70% at the rim this year, 46% from mid-range.
Well, yeah, yeah, we know that. But I just the free throws, I don't know. I as a number one again. Listen, he could show up and can Jaylen
LeBron's
Brown
not
be a
great at free
number one
throws.
on a championship team? I think it depends on the team. Like if we take him right now, right, and
Put him in Sacramento.
put him in Sacramento. That's interesting. I think that there would be a lot of battle between is it Jaylen Brown or is it De'Aaron Fox's team? I think it would be similar to this is where it's so interesting with Jaylen because he's been on the Celtics and a lot of people just anointed Jason Tatum as the guy. Because he was just better coming out. Jaylen, improved incrementally each year.
Yep.
So they just anointed Tatum as the guy. And listen, I don't. We have to see it. I have to. I have faith. That's what I'll say. You know what? I have faith Jaylen Brown has that in him to be a number one guy. I truly do believe that. But I would like to see it. As far as him leaving the Celtics, could it happen? Sure. There's a chance. There's a chance of anything. My whole point was when me and John talked about this was he's not going to the Knicks. And I'm sorry, Justin, I know we don't see him right now, but he's not going to the Knicks. That's just not in the cards. I don't see it. And so it would.
No, I don't see it either. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
So I would. It's just an interesting where would he go? So he's got 2 years left, right? He's got this year. He's a free agent in 2025.
4. So 2025 would be his
So
new
next
deal.
year, is his okay. So it's going to be interesting where teams are in terms of like, do they want him? A lot of things can change, man. And I know he clarified his comments saying, listen, they were taken out of context. It's just an interesting thing seeing a number two. Can he be? Have we ever seen this before where a guy who was a number two
Scottie Pippen.
looked at as a number two and then left? Yeah, but Pippen was past his prime when he went to Portland or Houston, whichever one was at first. You know what I mean?
That team knocked on the doorstep of the NBA Finals.
And then what happened though?
Well, then yeah, he turned what 38 years old.
That's what
Scottie
I'm
was
saying.
at
He was
least in his late
past. It
30s.
was done. The Jaylen's 26 right now. He would be entering his prime going into a brand new team. So that's why I'm asking. Have we ever seen this before, where a guy who was looked at as number two, basically in his prime, would leave and join a team to try and prove he's a number one? I don't think
Kobe
we've seen
Bryant.
it before. Who?
Kobe Bryant.
He didn't leave though. Shaq left.
He
But I get
requested a
what you're
trade,
saying.
and then he became that guy 9 years later or
He
8 years
did.
later with Pau Gasol.
That's probably the closest comparison. Probably the closest. I know a lot of people would probably be like, it was like he was looked at as the number 2 when Shaq was, doing his thing.
I'm the biggest Kobe Bryant fan. He was number 2
Yeah,
for
yes.
2 of those 3
Yeah.
in 30 years as well.
And listen, they were 1A, 1B when Kobe really started going up. When Kobe
year,
started, yes.
The first year it was Shaq and Kobe.
Yes,
The second year Shaq and Kobe. The third year Shaq and Kobe. But Shaq was the best player in the world those years.
Yeah.
Most dominant. We'll give it that.
Most dominant. Yeah, they like to use that word. But
great cop out.
I'd love to see it. I gotta be honest. I would love to see Jaylen Brown. I just don't know where he would go. I don't know if Sacramento can fit him in the cap. John probably knows that better than me. I'd love, obviously, I'm always gonna, put Miami's name in the hat. I think he actually would fit Miami very well. He seems to be a Miami Heat type player where he's got that dog in him. So I don't know. The future is bright for Mr. Jaylen Brown. He's shown he can get better. He's shown he can improve. Maybe he can take another step and be the guy and be a top 10 player in the world. Something Jason Tatum has been. Boston Celtics fans don't want to hear it. Tatum fans don't want to hear it. He's been knocking on the door. He has not walked through it yet.
Let's be honest. Let's put this in more layman terms. We don't know if Tatum's a championship number 1 either. He's number 1 on a contender, but until you get the championship, and Brandon's now making me think about players who were number 2 and became a number 1 on a championship team. I think we can recognize that the Celtics, it's not a 1 and a 2. It's a 1A, a 1B. Jaylen Brown's the worst playmaker and the less consistent 3-point shooter, but he's the better athlete, the better finisher, and the better mid-range shooter. Tatum's a terrible mid-range shooter. Brown's pretty good. Better defender?
Yeah. I'd take Brown. Tatum has just started to make those strides last year.
Well, he's actually been a really good defender. He's gotten better.
Really good, yeah. But he started to make those elite strides last year is what I'm saying. Brown, I feel like, has always had that in him.
Brown's a more smothering on-ball defender, but off the ball, he's never been good. I think Brown is, because of his tools, the better isolation defender. But Tatum is the better fit because of his length and his activity off the ball and his switchability being, I think, 2 inches taller.
I'd take Brown. For my money, I would take Brown.
Of course, it's hard to measure. I'm taking Tatum.
It's whoever's choice it is. Go ahead, though.
And the reality is, Jaylen Brown could be a number 1 on a contending team if it is properly built around him. Because they would be a contending team if you took Jason Tatum off, and this is where people are not going to agree with me here. If you have a lineup of Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams, and Rob Will, I think that Celtics team would be a lot more than a playing squad. I think that would be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And if Jaylen Brown maybe had a De'Aaron Fox or a Tyrese Halliburton alongside him, there would be no doubt in my mind he could be the number 1 contending team. That Celtics squad with no Tatum, and you have Malcolm Brogdon or Marcus Smart as number 2, I think they're capped for like 48 wins, second round of the playoffs. But if you pair De'Aaron Fox with a Trae Young, he would be the best player, I think, because he's so much better defensively. If you pair him up with Tyrese Halliburton or De'Aaron Fox, I think he could lead a team to the conference finals. And maybe if everything goes right, the same way we saw Booker do it, like the gap between Devin Booker and Jaylen Brown is not much, if there is one. Booker is the better playmaker, and that's the gap. Brown's a much better slasher and a better finisher. And in the playoffs, being able to get the rim and set that physical tone, that translates oftentimes better when you get deep and deep. We saw that last year in the finals. Jaylen Brown this year has been better than Jason Tatum in 2023. And at the same time, last year in the finals, he was the Celtics' number 1 player. And so to me, it's not crazy to say Jaylen Brown could be a 1A.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. I'm all right. I got a question for you guys then. So obviously next year would be, on his contract at least, the last year for him in Boston. If you can pick one team right now in the NBA that you want to see him go to, where is it? I would prefer to see him stick in Boston. I think they have a special group, special duo. Don't break that up. I think if Boston lets him walk, especially for nothing, then you're just going to regress. You're not doing nothing to benefit your team and their future.
That's another, you know what, Justin, you just made a great point. That's something, and that's usually something I would say and think about it. If he is going to walk away, there's no way they just There's no way you can just lose him for nothing. Now they'd have to get confirmation he's going to leave before the trade deadline. So
Got that? I think in this case, you'd rather trade him during the off season.
during the off season,
Yeah.
Again, so that's another conversation you want to have. And listen, I mean, if he's good, if he wants to leave, there's nothing the Celtics can really do. They're kind of at the mercy, and they're going to have to, try and not rebuild, but you know what I mean, retool their team to stay as the contenders that they are. Where would I mean, come on, Justin, you asked me that question. I'm a Miami Heat fan. We need a guy like that. You know where I'm going with that. But
Brian, you stole my thunder, I feel like, as a Heat fan.
well,
Him and Jimmy Butler would be aging, so the team would become Jaylen Brown and Bam Adebayo.
yeah,
That would be a filthy duo.
that'd be a great big three. Jimmy, Bam, and Jaylen. Sorry.
You know what, Justin?
Yeah.
Does this include if they don't win a championship?
Yeah.
I think if they don't win a championship this year, I think that the Celtics will be more inclined to trade him. Not saying they would want to, more inclined, being like, okay, maybe the grass can be greener on the other side.
There's only one person that they could have traded Jaylen Brown for where I'd say, all right, good on them. And that's Kevin Durant.
Yeah, no other player.
And that's done now.
And that's the other thing. If the Celtics win a championship, I think Jaylen Brown's more likely to leave. If they don't, I feel like there's still something that has to be finished. He's not Kevin Durant. I think Jaylen Brown stays, and he's more likely to if they don't get done. Now, if the Celtics win a championship, Justin, the team to me, the Heat are a great option with Bam, but I just look at Sacramento and think he'll be the final piece of the puzzle, replacing Harrison Barnes. And if there's another team I look at, it would be the Knicks, because Jalen Brunson and Jaylen Brown would be a dynamic duo. And Julius Randle is the third piece. Maybe he's gone at that point. But I like the Knicks supporting cast of IQ, Quickly, Grimes, to really complement him the way Marcus Smart, Grant Williams, and Derek White do now.
And he's ideally somebody that we can, if that's a free agent signing, well, you can retain the pieces that you do have now or add to it. And I don't know, the Knicks will be in a special spot. But yeah, I'm with you. I like Sacramento. I like the thought of maybe Atlanta actually going all in and getting themselves a real number one to play alongside Trae Young. I think if he doesn't stay in Boston, I'd say Atlanta would be nice.
How about San Antonio? No state income tax. He gets to play a Victor when they draft him. I think I have an epiphany that the Spurs are winning the lottery. I'm just manifesting that it happens. Victor,
I just don't know if you want to go to the Spurs with the uncertainty of when Greg Popovich is going to retire.
Which, to be honest with you, I think it's this year.
Yeah,
just in my eyes.
Yeah.
They already have.
Once he leaves, there's no reason to go to San Antonio. I know you love Wembanyama, but Pop is the reason people would come to San Antonio, and if he's not there,
well, Pop's successor is probably going to be a good one, though.
You'd hope. I mean, he lost Ime, he lost Becky, two coaches that we thought could be the heir apparent.
He also lost to Will Hardy, Taylor Jenkins. Was he burst? Quinn Snyder? Quinn Snyder was hired.
I just know that Ime was being built to be that next guy, and Becky, there was a lot of speculation inside the Spurs organization that people wanted her to take over.
It could be Becky Hammond.
I mean, if they offer her the big money, why the hell wouldn't she want to go?